Please give a warm Trine University welcome to Coach Robert M. Knight, our 2010 commencement speaker.
I discarded my gown because I had told Dr. Brooks that I only work in a sweater. Dick Vitale wears a coat, tie, suit, and he talks too much. I limit what I have to say, I think, with a sweater. I, first of all, would like to say that Dr. Brooks read some things that have been given me over the years, but nothing has touched me more or been more important to me personally than the degree given to me by this great university here this morning. And that leads me to talk to you 360-some seniors that are about to receive your degrees. You know, there is no finer institution anywhere in the country than the one you are about to graduate from. And this institution has really placed you on the starting line of life. This is where life really begins for you, because you're going to have to rely more on yourself from this point on, you eminent graduates, than at any other time in your short experience with life. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you're going to encounter from this day on, because you're going to be on your own. You're going to be working for people. You're going to, some of you have to work for a guy like me. You know, I wasn't the easiest coach in history to play for. You know, that was never my intent. My intent was to see that the guys that played for me went away from basketball with a better opportunity to succeed in life than anyone anywhere could have. And with that, it took a certain amount of different types of encouragement on my part over all of those years. And people ask me, what, in a nutshell, what would be your philosophy? And I tell them this story. Now, you folks, you young folks, remember, you're going to be working for somebody like those people that I tell you a little bit about here. Johnny went in to see his dad one evening. Johnny was 16, had just completed his junior year in high school, and his dad was watching a baseball game, rooting for the Cardinals. And Johnny said, "Dad, did Mom tell you that I passed the driver's exam today?" Dad said, "Not only, Johnny, did Mom tell me that you passed the exam, she said the state trooper that gave you the exam said you had the highest score on both the written and the driving part of that exam of anybody he had ever given it to." He said, "I think that's great." Well, Dad, that brings me to ask you this question. Will I be able to use the car once in a while, your car or Mom's car? John, you know, I've anticipated that question, and here's my answer. There are going to be some stipulations, John. Now, you folks are going to have stipulations. You folks are going to have restrictions. Here are the stipulations that John's dad gave to him. First of all, I'm tired of your mom telling me how you mistreat your brother and sister and how reluctant you are to do things around the house, how slow you are to pay attention to things. That's got to change. Secondly, your grades have got to improve. You have got to have better grades, John. This last grading period was just not good. You have got to have better grades. And thirdly, I want to see you read. You have got to learn to, reading is the foundation of all knowledge. And not just the ability to read, but the desire to read. And I think that while you read, you ought to give a glance every now and then at the Bible. Not for the religious implications, but simply because there's so many good things in the Bible about life. And then, John, the last thing, the fourth thing, the fourth stipulation to you using the car is, damn, boy, you got to get a haircut. I'm tired of seeing that long hair, and I want a haircut. Now, when you've gone through, John, enough time where you think you've got these things changed and under control, you come back and we'll talk about the car. So about 3 weeks later, John had been working hard, and he thought, well, now's the time to go in and visit my dad and just see where I am regarding the use of the car. So he went into the lounge, and there's Dad watching a Cardinal game again. And he said, Dad, can I talk to you about the car? And his dad said, certainly, John. And he said, well, I've worked at those things you talked to me about, and I hope I've made some improvement, and maybe I'm ready to get a chance to use the car. And his dad said, well, you know, first of all, not only has your mother ceased to complain about your behavior around the house, she's been very complimentary about how you've helped and what you've done with your brother and sister and what she wants done, and even things that she hasn't even asked you to do, you've done. So number one, great. Number two, grades. I've been carefully monitoring your grades. They have all improved, but John, they have to stay there, and they have to continue to improve. You've got to understand that. Thirdly, I've seen you read, and I've seen you open the Bible now and then, and I've seen you take an interest in things other than just watching television, and I'm very pleased with that. So 3 out of 4, John, is pretty good, but all 4 things have to be done, John, and you still don't have a haircut. And I told you I'm tired of that long hair. And John said, now, Dad, I have something to say about that. You know, you encouraged me to read the Bible, and I have read the Bible. And I saw in the Bible where Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Peter, Jesus himself all had long hair. And his dad said, that's exactly right, John, and they walked their ass off everywhere they went. And that's the kind of guy you folks are going to run into now and then as you get away from this starting line and you move on this next phase in life. And then there's another thing that I'm really big on, and that's self-reliance. Learn to rely on yourself. Now, you're going to be in a situation where self-reliance is going to be important. You know, getting up in the morning, getting to work on time, doing what you're supposed to do, trying to improve, trying to get better. It really bothers me when a guy hits a home run and he crosses the plate and he points to the Almighty, thanking the Almighty for giving him the strength to hit this home run. You know, leave the Almighty alone. What the hell does he care about baseball? Let him work on something else. Let him work on homes for the homeless and better health care and one thing and another. And so when this guy sets his hand up in the air and thanks the Lord for helping him hit that home run, I watch this on television and I say to myself, God screwed the pitcher. Now think about that. In life, you know, believe in God, have strong beliefs, but most of all, believe in yourself. Learn to swing at good pitches. Don't go up without any thought of the strike zone. Never go to bat when you're not aware of the strike zone. Don't swing at low and outside. Don't swing at high and inside. Make sure that what you're swinging at is a good pitch. And when you've got that good pitch, make sure that you hit it. One of the great contemporaries of mine in coaching happens to be a guy that played for me at West Point, Mike Krzyzewski. And many of you just rooted for his Duke team to get beat by Butler a couple of weeks ago in Indianapolis. But I can assure you that I was rooting for Duke to win that game because I have a tremendous respect for Mike as a player, as a person, and as a coach. And he's become one of the great coaches in the history of the game. And I'm going to pass on something that he once did as a player, just about the same age as you folks. He was a senior at West Point at that time, and we were playing South Carolina in the NIT, and they had a great player named John Roach. And I said, Mike, you're going to guard Roach, and I don't want to see Roach get 10 points. They play a 2-3 zone. You're going to play on top of the zone, Mike, and Oxley's going to be to your right, and Simmons is going to be to your left. Oxley shoots, Simmons shoots, you pass. You don't shoot. I want to see you take a shot, Mike. He was not a very good shooter. I said, now, is there anything about this you don't understand? He said, no, sir. And I said, Oxley shoots, Simmons shoots, Govey and Clevenger work in and out of the middle, you pass. P-A-S-S. Got it. I got it, Coach. I got it. About 8 minutes left in the game. We're ahead by 14 points. And my grandmother used to tell me, sometime in life, the devil will try to grab your soul. And that happened to Mike with that 14-point lead. And I can still see Mike stepping into the free throw line with the ball and nobody within 8 feet of him. Now, to play basketball and not be allowed to shoot is a difficult proposition. And you guys are going to have some difficult situations. You're going to have some things where you say, why am I doing this? Well, you're doing it because somebody told you to do it. Or it's part of your job, and there are going to be some parts of your jobs and your life that aren't all that interesting or all that entertaining. And Mike not being able to shoot in that game was certainly one of those things. And as he stepped into the shot, the devil having his soul and stepped up to take the shot, and his shooting guide hand actually came off the ball, and he started the shot motion. And Bill Parcells, the great football coach, is sitting beside me on the bench, and I said, Krzyzewski is about to die. And with that, at the last possible moment, he flipped the pass to Oxley on the right-hand side. Years later, I got that picture cut out of the film, and I sent it to Mike with this inscription, Mike, this pass saved your life. Now, I use that as a reference point because those of you that follow sports, and even those that don't, Mike has been synonymous with success over his career at Duke, as much success as anybody has ever had in basketball. And when he came to West Point, he had been the leading scorer in the Chicago Catholic League for 2 years, one of the better basketball leagues in the United States. And he had a lot of stuff going to the bucket, and he got fouled a lot, but he really was never a very good shooter. He made the best adjustment from high school basketball to college basketball of any player that I've ever coached. And I think the ability to adjust, the ability to be able to see something and adjust to it, to change your approach because there's a better approach, is going to be very important to each of you. And as I say, I've never been around anybody that made a better adjustment than Mike did.